Good. So now I'm going to brief you on Portland. Portland is a highly significant org, as you know. It's briefed by COB-RTC, where he said it's a global org of global significance. The reason being, in 1985 was our biggest religious victory against unbelievable suppression right on that site, right in Portland. And for over 2 months, there were marches, and the whole crusade lasted that long, resulting in victory. So the real victory is we put now an ideal org there. We ribbon cut that ideal org on Saturday. An unbelievable amount of Scientologists showed up actually internationally. So I wanted to sort of give you the whole ramp of what happened. I went up there a week ago Saturday because there was an event happening, a fundraising event, and I didn't come back. Because the fundraising was going to get done and a lot of other things. There was so much Cone 40, forward motion, a lot of work by a lot of people to make that go right. But there was no way that we were going to do anything less than 100% perfect grand opening, everything done for that org, Portland. It was only right to do it that way, right? Yeah. So, terrific amount of work, all the fundraisers up there. So we had the event on Saturday. There was a monumental announcement by one of their top donors, the guy who's been working on the fundraising for a very long time, Jeremy Arazzini, and he decided he was going to be a New Civilization builder, which is $1 million. And then he was going to actually donate $560,000. And he said that at the end of the event. You could not hear anything. There was not an explosion at all. Everybody was like, and then somebody in the audience went, "What?" And then the whole place went nuts. It was like, that actually moved like dominoes the thing forward. It was like, okay, this is getting serious now. This is actually going to get done. On Tuesday in New York was the OT committee meeting. There was probably, I don't remember how many there were, probably about 80 people there, maybe 70, 80 people there. Anyway, what we did was figured out, okay, how many people were at this OT committee meeting? If all of them donated $10,000, we'd be done. That was the OT committee meeting. And then the first guy said, "I'm doing 10,000." There was nothing pre-reg. We did 135,000, completely just spontaneous combustion because it had to be done. So people came up with the money that they needed to do, or that they at that moment were going to do. And then, so that moved a little closer to the goal. I don't remember all the countdown figures at that point, but like after that OT committee was done, one of the people that attended that meeting, he grabs me and he goes, "I should be a New Civilization builder." I'm like, okay, good, let's do it. You know, he had it all calculated out of how much he needed to pay and the whole thing. Literally, this is what was being done because of the Cone 40 and the purpose of this, of getting this thing completed. So then on Wednesday, we were supposed to have another fundraiser, and everybody went to the org, and everybody just sort of was standing around on the third floor. The third floor was like the hub of all the fundraising and recruitment and everything else there. And it was another fundraising schedule, but it actually never started because the money started rolling in towards completion. Because of all the work and everything that had been done, everything was like culminating now into coming to fruition all on this Wednesday. And it started getting announced, like major amounts of money being announced. And everybody was still standing. Everybody just was standing and screaming for like 3 hours as this stuff was being announced. It was like there were no chairs, there was nothing. Everybody was just standing in this huge, this room, just kind of wall to wall people. And the next thing would be announced, and it would be more screaming and the whole thing. It was like nobody could quite figure out how this was happening. It was like an amazing amount of work. Obviously, it's not just like, oh, magically it just shows up. The amount of Cone 40 and drive to actually get this done was unbelievable. Between the Portland staff and the public, they had literally coalesced as what happened in '85. That was the magic about this. It was the same thing. Like there's no way, and it was that LRHED winning that they were basically doing. Like there was no thought of losing. And the guys that were there know what I'm talking about. Tim, you know what I'm talking about. The other Tim knows what I'm talking about. So they coalesced as a true group and started moving this forward, and it actually is a demonstration of what a group on a serious purpose and a determination to make something happen can actually do. So Wednesday, screaming, like just screaming, more coming. We invoiced $1.5 million on Wednesday. They were going to take the credit card machine, and here's the credit card machine. You have to do the credit card thing, and then you have to pull the paper out as it's printing. Like, the thing was like on its last legs. But they were going to take that credit card machine and bronze it. Put it in a museum, you know, like, keep going, you know. So is total determination going to complete a definition of tone 40 and postulate in the physical universe occurring? But it was a lot of people that made that happen. It wasn't just like, whoa, you know. There was work done to make the public win with Scientology. There was work done to get them on service, to get them recovered. One of the biggest donators was one of the call center recoveries. And it's Diane Ayers. She joined staff. She finished her Pura, and her cognition was she'd been on psych drugs for one of the worst psych drugs for like a year or something. Or, no, sorry, 10 years. And one of her cognitions in the Pura, they found her actually, it's like, wow, are you okay? She was like bawling in the Pura, apparently. That's what happened. And she had this cognition, was just mind-blowing for her, that no one is ever going to take her freedom away, ever again. And that was the cognition she had, like right before she finished the Pura. And then she suddenly is coming up with how to, you know, move her status up and get this done, get this thing done. And she's just beyond proud of herself on this thing. But that's what happens also at the call center, just so you know. Like, those people back with us with Scientology, they absolutely become Scientologists. And they want others to have what they now have. Okay? Yeah. So that was really, really awesome. So Portland wound up with 90 humanitarians. A humanitarian is somebody who donates $100,000. 90 humanitarians, they beat the record, international record, by 23. The target was 85. It's like, let's pick 85 because of 1985. It just kept happening. Okay, more, let's just do more, okay? They did 8 new civilization builders, beating the record by double any other org in the world. Those are people that have donated at least $1 million. And then, to cap it off, Wednesday, because we were also at the same time moving the leather bounds to completion, because the leather bounds have to be sold down in order to get the non-E campaign rolling out. Right. So all the leather bounds have to be done, and we don't yet really have a good record of finishing the leather bounds before the grand opening. Inglewood was the closest. They sold out the day of the opening. So we're done with the fundraising is done. Everybody's screaming, crying, hugging the whole thing, and then it was kind of like, okay, wow, leather bounds. One of the top donators says, how much? There's 31,000 left. He wrote a check. So that was another Portland first. That was just like, great, done. Okay, we did that one. Next, what's the next thing? Total frame of mind, that group of OTs. So that was Wednesday. We're like, wow, Wednesday. Isn't it usually like Thursday or Tuesday? No, Wednesday. And then we went across to the park across the street from the org, and we did the big group shot with, the Dunser. And the ED sent that up to COB with their comm saying it was completed. And then that acknowledgement came back, and anyway, it was very, very, I mean, there's been, I don't know, there's hours of hugging and crying. I mean, this is the fundraising that's been going on for 9 years. You understand the magnitude of that. It wasn't just like, wow, hey, let's just do that like a year ago. No, it's like 9 years, like wham, and people coalesced as a group beyond anything I've ever seen. Okay, then Thursday and Friday was dedicated to going crazy on the call-in and the preps for the event, the opening. We had people coming from all over the place. We beat 2,500 confirms. So that, basically, that was all the preps for that. I'm going to show you photos of all this as well. Saturday was the event. And the attendees, there was 2,654 attendees. That's the largest attended grand opening in West US outside of the LA area orgs. And they came from everywhere. We had East US, West US, Canada, all represented, every org. We had the EDs of Moscow came. Because they know that Portland was that important, and they both really, really wanted to come. And they were very keyed out to be there. It was awesome. And the thing that's really cool is that Portland's game, St. Hill size, yes, they want to beat Moscow so bad. On everything. So I told the EDs of Moscow that, and they thought that was really cool. They said, yeah, bring it on, So we had people from Europe, everywhere. I think every continent was represented there. There were 61 EDs in attendance. all of West US for the most part, virtually all of West US, almost all of East US, a lot of Canada. Okay. There were 5 speakers, including chairman of the board, and they were all unbelievable. I'm sure you'll see whatever on this, I'm sure you will. The 4th speaker was a minister who stood by us in the crusade of 1985. He was the original Freedom Medal winner. Before it became like this. I don't remember the gentleman's name. He's 90 years old. Jim Nichols, yeah, that's right. He got up there and he was like, very like, crusade-like. It was really moving. It was completely amazing. Very, very impassioned about what we're doing. Freedom of religion, like he's been on it all his life. And he's so allied with us about that particular thing. And then the final speaker, obviously, was chairman of the board of RTC. His speech was unbelievable. Very much longer than any other opening. And he gave details about the crusade that no one knows. Not even Jeff Pomerantz, not even the people that were there. He gave the whole, if you take 93 Wars Over event and you go, okay, Portland Crusade, that's what that was. It gave the whole background of it and what it was that we were actually up against that's not ever been known. So everybody, there was not a dry eye anywhere. It was like, it was absolutely amazing. I'm not even going to try to tell you about this. The ones that were there, you know what I'm talking about? So he went through all of that, and that set the stage for, obviously, the magnitude of now we have the ideal org and the importance of the ideal org. And then he also then acknowledged the new civilization builders who were there. They're always in the front row, and he acknowledges them personally and gives them his communication about what an amazing being they are for having done what they did. And they show them up, you know, on the screen, and they're always just like completely just beside themselves. And then they cut the ribbon. There were 24 people on stage, which is another highest ever, that pulled that ribbon for Portland. And I'll show you the photos of that as well. Then everybody toured the new building. It's 69,000 square feet. It's absolutely gorgeous. The Edie Quebec was there from Canada, and she goes, you know, every opening I've gone to, and she's gone to a lot of them, she goes, every one of them, I still say to myself, my org's the best. She goes, but this one, this is better. So then the touring was going on, and Chairman of the Board RTC took photographs with all the humanitarians that actually were in attendance, which was 83 of them with their families, and spoke to all of them. There was a whole production. Can you imagine? He spent hours. It was very, very special. Then when that was done, then the staff and OT committee of Portland then presented him, because Portland's the city of roses, so they presented him with 3 dozen red roses. Huge. I think it was way more than 3 dozen. It was probably 300. It was gigantic. And then they presented him actually a poster. It was the actual poster that was marched around the courthouse, and it would give the number of days. Like it was like the Crusade logo, right? And then it would say days, you know, and then it would go 1, the next day would be 2, 3, 4, 5. And this said days 61, day 61. And they had it framed, the actual poster, and then a photo of the building. I think I didn't see it up close, but then COB looked at that and he goes, is that the actual poster? And it was. It was the one that literally went around in 1985, around the courthouse. Day 61, and somebody had kept it. You know, somebody actually kept this. They had actually kept it. Some of them still have the placards with the signs. This is very important to these people, what they did. So they gave him that, and they gave him a gold, 14-karat gold pin. It's a Crusader pin, and it has the logo, the Crusade logo on it. And he was given that. And then the staff recited the LRHD winning to him. Like individuals took a line, and then when they got to the end, they all recited it all at once to him, to COB. It was very moving, very emotional moment for all involved. And then after that, COB went up to the 2nd floor. He was in the chapel, it was on the 1st floor. The cafe is on the 2nd floor, and he spoke to the EDs that all attended there. And he talked about Golden Age of 2, which is coming up very fast. Gave him some details about that, which is very interesting. Now, at the same time this was going on earlier, we had the first ever United States Alliance fundraiser. Now, the United States, we cognited, me and Billy Lindstein, who's the COCL of East US. It's the United States. So we're like, good, we can do that. There's still some very competition, you know, East US loves kicking our ass and stuff like that. We're like, okay, good, you know, we like that too. But we put everybody together and we decided we were going to make a lot of money. We're going to set a record at this fundraiser. So I don't know how many people were there. It was a lot of people. And Jeremy Orzini and Jonathan Maurer from Sacramento did the fundraiser. And we raised $1.1 million at that fundraiser. Somebody from, was it Atlanta? Atlanta pledged $500,000, 250 of which is coming in this week. And there was a lot of other pledges. It was actually very, very awesome. And then some of the orgs were calling in. They were having fundraisers in the org that couldn't come to Portland, but they were calling in more money. And then if you know how Portland is built, from the second floor up to the top, there's a skylight and kind of a big hole in the middle, right? So the stage, the fundraiser, was right under that. And every once in a while, the public on the other levels would like throw in a couple of dollars and come, you know, a $5 bill would come down or something like that. So that was cool because everybody's kind of working as a team to actually pull off this target, and we want to actually get the U.S. done. That is now a target. Because there's absolutely no reason we can't do that. The number of orgs that West U.S. has left is also the number of orgs that East U.S. has to do. So we're going to actually get this. We're going to get this done. All right. So then that was the Saturday. Do we want to show the photos now? I guess, eh? Yeah. Okay, good. And I'll tell you about Sunday. Yeah, that's like a lot of people.
Stand right beside you.
That should be big, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, that. There's a choir from Stafford and a singer who did the Battle of Portland song. He sang it. You guys know this song, right? Yeah. Back up the Winnebago, right? He sang that thing, right? It's a very uptone song. It's cool. Jeff Pomerantz was sitting in the front row. He totally lost it. It was like actually quite an emotional moment. It was a really uptone song. Everybody started to cry. Wow. So that was the beginning entertainment. Here's the main speaker. I can't remember his name or what he represents.
That was Robert Drake.
Oh yeah, the mayor.